The High Court Judge, Honorable Justice Adrian Fisher, the Anti-Corruption Commissioner Francis Ben Kaifala, and other parties in the anti-corruption case, the State versus Saiduna Law and others, including the APC flag bearer, Dr. Samura Kamara, and his lawyers last week, Thursday and Friday, visited the Leone UN Mission Chancery building in New York. The visit is in connection with the alleged misappropriation of public funds to the tune of $4.9 million United States dollars meant for the reconstruction of the Chancery building. So this morning, to discuss this and other issues in the studio, we have been joined by a renowned and very senior lawyer, Lawyer Francis Gabidon, a senior legal practitioner in the country. And also on Zoom, we'll be joining Elkas Sannoh, the Director of Communications, Judiciary of Sierra Leone. Good morning, Mr. Gabidon, and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
What seems unprecedented is, you know, with the coverage of this matter from the court here in Freetown to New York. As someone who's been in this for over 40 years or so, what does this mean for justice in Sierra Leone?
Well, as you said, it's unprecedented because I've been in the profession now for over 50 years and I don't know of any situation like this. I was not in court. I don't know why the judge gave that order. I honestly don't know what is the relevance of going to New York because I think it's a case that does not have to do with New York. But probably the judge has reasons, whether it has to do with the construction of the building or not. I saw something on video on Saturday, but the judge and some of the lawyers were outside the building arguing. I honestly don't know. I don't know whether it was necessary or not. I was not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer in that case. Honestly, I don't know what is the rationale behind going to New York. That's my honest view.
The openness. I was in court the other day when Honorable Justice Adrian Fisher was saying this is about transparency. This is about letting the public understand what is happening in court because the matter is a public interest matter based on one of the individuals who is involved in it. Does this mean the judiciary is opening itself up to public scrutiny and that is how it should be?
Well, it is possible, but I've seen other cases inside. I've been involved in cases and we don't have to leave the jurisdiction. You don't need to go to New York to show transparency. I mean, I don't know whether that case, because if you're talking about the way the building was before and whether this repairs was done or not, probably, then they must call an engineer or somebody who saw the building before and whether there was repairs done or not. I honestly don't know whether there's any justification. That's not transparency. Because what I saw was they were outside the building. What I saw, they were not inside the building. They were outside. I know that building in New York. I saw the lawyers and I saw the judge outside the building. So, and I don't know what was being said. I heard a few things, but
we are trying to get the video of the honorable judges so you can.
I don't know what was the reason for them going to New York. That's my honest view.
Did they call it locus? Is that how they call it?
Yes, but not that. Yes, you do. Look, if there is a land case, for example, two people are quarreling over land. You know, for example, the boundary, you have this boundary. You can go to the locus. There is a road accident. Yes, but a locus in New York, I don't know. As I said, it's time to be corrected.
You know, Lamwana, you made mention of the fact that transparency was one of the motives, you know, in all of this. So what baffles me again is that the funds, the money that was used to go again to New York and spend, if it's transparency, shouldn't we not be curbing and trying to save finances in those areas? So, Lawyer Gabidon, in all of these areas, in terms of the precedents that is been set, you know, what do you think it has to be in terms of when it goes to other cases? Do you think, yes, this is the right platform to do so?
There is nothing wrong with transparency, except if, for example, they had an engineer with them or a contractor who would show, or probably who knew the building before and would say, this was what the building was like. It was a dilapidated building. It was going out of repairs. We gave money for certain repairs. I mean, probably that would make sense. Yeah, I can understand. But as I say, I did not see anything like that. I saw them standing outside the building. They were arguing. So I don't know what is the transparency there. As I said, I'm not criticizing. I don't know what was the purpose of them going to New York. I did not understand.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you.
We have on screen now. Let's take quickly some highlights of what happened in New York. Then we'll get you again. We're still trying to get on to Elkas Sannoh via Zoom, as we understand he's still in the US, to speak to him on some of these issues. Let's take the highlights.
Evidence, you leave gaps, you only have yourselves to blame. Let us ignore the banter outside, let us ignore the comments outside and focus on why we're here, which is to make sure we have a proper viewing of this building, and then we determine how to proceed when we leave and get back to it out. That said, let us be mindful about what we say, because at the end of the day, we have people who are listening and watching actions that council generally carry out, and then they use that as gospel to misbehave. You know, and at the end of it all, we do not want our profession to delegate into what we see outside. So let's be mindful of that. You know, you're all professionals here, very senior people. Let us be above board. Let's be above what is happening outside. So what has been said so far, I bear it in mind. I don't think I need to give a ruling on it, because it's an issue which I think everybody here knows that they have a duty to maintain the rule of our profession. That said, we rest assured that I am not listening to what is said. My focus is on the evidence. I think all the rulings I've given so far have been based upon the law and the evidence, and I will continue to do that. All right? So, yes. I believe it's a matter for you as well to take a note of in terms of the evidence that is going to give in the court. So, but compare that. In fairness to him, I need to caution him that there's a possibility that that might happen. If you want to take that risk, there's a matter for them.
Issues. They went into the building, they visited some areas, and actually watched the status of the old building. But I want to ask, you know, in a matter like this, what does this mean, you know, especially with one of the individuals who is involved in it is already a flag bearer for the main opposition party, who will be contesting in the June 24th elections, based on how the matter perhaps might go. What does it mean for the openness in it all?
As I said to you, there is nothing wrong with opening the court. The man who was giving the contract, the American, he refused to appear before the court. He did not go. He should have come to Sierra Leone. To me, if it was a building contract, if, for example, I give you a contract to build or to repair, and I'm not satisfied with what you've done, then probably we can visit the locals to say, this was what was the state of the building. We have not seen any improvement. We've given you so much money. Nothing has been done, whatever has been done. As far as I'm concerned, from what I've listened to in the evidence, Samoa is not a building contractor. The others are officers at the embassy. The question was, how was this money utilized or whatever? Honestly, as I say so with a lot of respect, if it was me, I would not go to New York. I don't think it's necessary to go to. How can you, the fact that you show, first of all, they should have shown what the building was like before they went there. What was the status of that building? You should have an architect or a building contractor say, this was the building. Later on, this was why we gave money to put the building. Honestly, as I said, I don't know whether that is transparency. Yes, some people have never been to America, so it's good to show them. In fact, that's a bad whatnot of our building. It showed our building are deteriorated. But we've had cases before, the High Commission in London, cases, they did not go to London. I'm saying it's not necessary. That's my view. I'm not criticizing anybody. For me, it was not necessary. That's all I say. Transparency just to see inside the building. What about the architect? What about the building contractor? Who will tell us what the building was like? Now look at the building, it has deteriorated. You spent the money on something. I honestly cannot. To me, the best person to give that evidence should have been an engineer or architect that they took to America, or the man himself who's involved, who was given the contract. He refused to face the court. He refused to come to Sierra Leone. Yeah, I've forgotten his name.
Sanders, he's Sanders.
Yeah, well,
Sanders.
that's the man you need. That's the man you need.
Will these visits have any influence on the case? One of the lawyers, one of the lawyers, I think the lawyers for Dr. Samuel Kamara, were arguing that, this was not the state of how the building was some 2 years ago when it was closed down and when the case was taken to court. Will it have any influence on...
No, because they did not take somewhere there for failure to repair a building. As I say, I don't know. Justice Fisher is a very good judge. But that's my own view is, what does that prove, that state of the building? Why didn't they show what the building was like before? Why didn't they get an engineer, an architect, somebody to tell us that this is not a question of a building contract? The question was, the allegation is that this man squandered money, which was given for that. That is what you have to go and prove to me. I don't know, as I say, I don't know the necessity for them going to New York. I'm ready to defend it anytime, even if Fisher is here. I know Fisher very well. It's my colleague, I know, but that's my view. My view is so necessary. It doesn't prove anything.
You don't think it will have any influence?
I don't think so.
Lamana, in terms
That's my view, my personal view. What does it prove? We have seen a dilapidated building. So what? What was the status of that building before? Somebody should come and tell us. Why didn't they bring the building contractor, the man who was given that contract? They paid somebody a lot of money. He refused to come to court. Let them come and tell us, people of Sierra Leone, open up the place. This was the state of the building before. I received so much. This was what was done, or this was not. To me, that makes sense. But these are not people who are contractors or engineers. They're all lawyers. They're taken to New York. As I said, I don't know what it was. If that is transparency, fine.
Okay, thank you. In terms of moving forward, if there's any possibility that, as you rightly mentioned, that engineers or architects will be brought into this, you think that will be a step in the right direction?
It could help, yes. If you can show an engineer or architect, well, yes. Because the question was, money was given to repair, and this money was squandered. Isn't that that's what they're saying? They say money was given because the building was falling apart. That's the impression I get, that money was squandered. But they have to prove that XYZ squandered money, it was given for this. You have to lead the evidence. So it's no use just opening the building in New York for Sierra Leoneans to see it. I honestly, as I say so with respect to the judge, I don't think it's necessary. That's my view. You can quote me any day.
They are listening to you, so
no, they can listen to me.
Yeah, they're watching.
I know them all.
Yeah.
Some of them I taught at law school.
Okay.
Yes.
I suppose you must have been following this matter, this case in court, and
to some extent.
To some extent.
No, I've not been following it. I have a lot of work to do. I'm not going to spend all my time listening to a case like this. Yes.
So what's your perception about this case? Considering the fact that it's already involves someone who is a flag bearer for a political party and who possibly will be contesting in the election.
Well, is he the only one who's involved? That's the point. Because from the evidence I was listening to, I don't think he was, from what I heard. So you have to get all the parties who were involved. We're talking about one person now. What about other names that have been called? Yes, listen, go and look at the transcript.
Yes, I'm asking...
Well, that's one that has been involved. Mm-hmm. Yes. But what about, get the full transcript.
Does his status have anything to do with this case?
If you thief money, your status doesn't matter. The accusation was that money was squandered or was not used for that purpose. Some of them were officers working at the embassy. One person was a foreign minister. Are these the only people who are involved? If somebody, that's why I said it would have been better if somebody was qualified as an engineer, an architect. That's my view. To me now, this is open. What do I gain from seeing that? I have seen our embassies abroad. The one in London, it nearly fell apart until the British people said, if you don't take action, we'll seize the building from you. No one was falling apart because we don't repair our buildings over the years. So I know we have a bad record on who we treat our buildings.
Let's try and see if we can have Elkas on the line. If we've got Elkas Sannoh, we're trying to get him via Zoom.
Yes, you can ask him.
To speak to us. Hello, Elkas. Okay, our technical people, I think, are still trying to get onto Elkas via Zoom on the show. Lawyer Gabidon, I was asking earlier about, the personality that is involved in this matter. I was in court the other time when, you know, Justice Fisher was talking about the matter and how it has become a public interest matter based on the fact that the status of Dr. Sannoh Kamara has changed. He was a citizen, a senior citizen when he was charged, and now he's the flag bearer of a political party. With your experience in matters like this, and we are like 90 days to the election, what does it mean to the electioneering process, the cycle, and as well as the courts, the judiciary itself, being independent?
Honestly, I don't know what it means in the sense that, yes, it's personality. But you see, generally, the principle of law is that you're innocent until you're proved guilty. It's not because somebody's involved, therefore that person is guilty. We have to be very careful. And the judge also was very careful. The fact that they've shown us the building is, to me, it's neither here nor there, because I would have liked to know what was the status of this building. But if we're not careful, we might read too much into the case because it's a flag bearer. That doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. We have to be very careful. That's what I'm saying. Yes, somebody has been charged, but the question I've asked you is look at the transcript and see whether he's been the only man who has been involved in this case with money.
But he's the one indicted. He's the one in court. He's the one of that status that is in court.
Well, you've asked me a question, I've answered you back. Of course, he's the one indicted. Well, it's up to them to charge who they want to charge. Yes, you're right. He's the one indicted. But I'm looking at it from a wider perspective.
The judge.
That's why I have done 50 years at the bar. Some of my colleagues, they are probably 20, 25. When I'm looking at a case like that, I look at it from a holistic angle. Was he the only one who was involved with money? You go and look at the records.
So in your own perception and based on what you know, you think he's not the only one that could have been indicted?
From what I've heard. Oh, yes. From what I've heard. From what I've heard from the case. There are one or two other names. Go and check the records. Why they were not charged, I don't know. I have nothing to lose, man. I have nothing to gain or lose. I've been 50 years in this game. I know they take sides. But was he the only one? I'll be honest with you.
So his party has been saying this is like going after him. Do you believe in that?
I'm not involved in that. I don't.
No, I'm asking because you're saying there are other people who could have been charged, who could have been indicted, and have not been indicted.
Yes. So the prosecution has a discretion to charge who they want to charge. We call it prosecutorial discretion. These matters have not yet ended. This is just the beginning. They still have the Court of Appeal. They still have the Supreme Court. We don't know where this matter will end.
Justice Fisher, in his judgment or order, the order he gave recently, asked that all those who have traveled should ensure that they return to Freetown before the first, and they should hand over their traveling documents as well. And you know, I was asking you about the impact of this case on possibly the elections and campaigns, having in mind that it's 90 days. And Dr. Sannoh Kamara is a flag bearer. He'll be handing over his traveling documents as well. And he's a flag bearer who possibly will want to go and campaign. The exigency of time and this matter.
Well, obviously it will go against him. It will suffer because of time, definitely. In time he has to campaign. But to me, if you have a good record, and if, for example, if he's acquitted and discharged, that could help him. But if he's not acquitted and discharged, then that could be serious. So it depends on how the case goes against him. Okay. It depends on how the case goes.
You know, you made mention...
The thing is, I think we've been delaying. This is the other thing. We've delayed too much in some of these cases. The time, cases like this should have been finished long ago. That's my honest view. You don't keep cases like this towards the end. No, people read too much into it, even though the case has been delayed. You know, if I was a judge in that case, I will not keep it to this extent. I'm speaking for myself. I think it's too near. Let's look at justice from a wider perspective. You're talking about the timeline. Yes. I think there was a lot of delays. They had to wait for the ACC to come up with some witnesses. You don't keep, look at case in England. Something happens today. Within 24, 48 hours, somebody's in court. Look, there have been one or two murders over the last few days. Up to now, they have not charged them. Don't you know we still have delays in our system?
Definitely.
It takes time to charge even a simple case. The file is in the law officers department. We are waiting for the DPP. My friend, I've been long in this game. We have a lot of, we don't try. There's been a lot of improvements in our judicial, but we still delay cases. We still delay cases.
You know, in terms of the delay you're speaking of, you know, 2 years back, the state of the Chancery compared to now, that's a very delay again, you know, in terms of the dilapidation that would have happened to the building. So again, in terms of the maintenance culture which we are talking about, what would you say in that direction? The lack of maintenance culture.
Oh no, if it's lack of maintenance, that's a common disease all over Sierra Leone. Look at some of our buildings falling apart. In the past, 2 areas you get good maintenance was one, Sierra Leone Commercial Bank and Bank of Sierra Leone. When I came home in '72, they had permanent maintenance sections. You never see problems with it. But now, if you look at the electricity building, they've been on it for how long now? Look at the other building. No, we have a problem with maintenance. That's a general problem. It's not just for this case. We don't, you know, I don't want to say you have to visit other countries, but we can do better. That's all I can say.
I want to ask you generally, Lawyer Gabidon.
I'm trying to be fair. I'm not trying to take sides. Yes.
Lately, just a bit away from that matter. Lately, we've seen the judiciary, you know, allowing cameras into the courtroom in some matters.
Yes.
Yes.
That
you know,
is transparency.
You've been around for a long time. Do you think this is something that
is good? Yes. Oh, that is good. Yes. Yes. That's good. To open up. They do it in Ghana as well, in Nigeria. Yes. We should do it.
In your own general assessment so far, you know, like you mentioned, you've been around for a very long time. This judiciary, the Chief Justice and his team have been talking about, you know, access to justice.
Yes.
Taking, you know, judges to the regions, magistrates, and all that.
There's been a lot
opening up in terms of access to justice. What's your assessment?
There's been a lot of improvement there. The CJ in that area has done a wonderful job. Oh no, people can see matter that's happening in Pujan or in Kailan. Oh yes, but we don't have television, but legal aid where I work. We are all over, everywhere in Sierra Leone now. We've covered the whole country. We have lawyers all over now. If you charge somebody now in Pujan, we have somebody there who can defend you, free of charge. Free of charge.
So
the days when you have to have money are over, which was one of the reasons why we had a rebel war. When people say, well, I'm not going to get money, I'm not going to lawyer for faith for me. You don't need that now. So however poor you are, anywhere in Sierra Leone, once you contact us legally, we are defending you.
So in your own estimation, you believe the judiciary has improved?
Oh yes, oh yes. Over the last 50 years.
But what are
we still delayed with cases. Oh no, we have improved. We never used to have judges all over those places. It was all Freetown, Bo, McKinney, Kenema. Now Tongo, Boaji, they're all over. It's just that's what you don't know about it. We have lawyers, 24 or 25 lawyers, all over the country. At anywhere now, if you have a case, you cannot afford it. Go to a legal aid office. We'll defend you free of charge.
Building trust is also one of the most important things with the judiciary. What do you think are the challenges? You know, with your time.
There are a lot of challenges in terms of the amount of money which is given. The CJ also complained about it. They're paid well now. Judges and magistrates are better paid now than during our days. Oh yes, oh yes. They have vehicles, they have houses given to them temporarily. I think their conditions have improved, definitely better. When I came home, last time some of us did not go and work for government because the money was ridiculous.
You know,
I would have worked for government from '72. You know how long ago? But you know what they were paying lawyers? No, how could I afford that? I have a wife and children. But now it has improved. Yeah, so that shows improvement.
You know, over the years, the belief in the justice system, do you think that, you know, a lot of people are now more reliable and open to the work of the judiciary and the belief in the justice system?
There are better conditions now, better facilities. We can still do more. One of the things I want to see inside, which I've been arguing, we overburden the law officers department with work. In Nigeria and Ghana, we've said so. Every government department should have a law section, a small section. So if Ministry of Foreign Affairs has a problem, they don't need to go to law officers. You have specialists there who will handle the matter. Ministry of Agriculture, they should have, this is what we should have, we've refused to do it. All the cases go there. You need specialists in all these different ministries. You have, I think, Foreign Affairs. We cannot be, there are about 60 or 70 lawyers there, young lawyers who have just come from Right now, when I leave you now, I'm going to Fobe College. I have an exam with 300 students who take in their final year to go to law school. 300. Can you imagine? Now, after they qualify, they go to law school, probably some of them have a job at law officers. Now, for me, we should have separate places where we can train someone. Some of the police prosecutions should be done by lawyers. There are so many lawyers now. Why don't we take some of the prosecution from the police officers and give it to young lawyers who don't have jobs? There are lawyers roaming all over Freetown. Go to Pademba Wood Court now. You'll see some of them standing up there. You get a case, you want to make a bail you. So come on, man. We need to organize. We've been writing articles with what? Nobody listens to you, my friend.
You know, the quality and the quantity of lawyers, you know, is enormous these days.
The quantity of lawyers, we have them now. We have nearly 1,000 lawyers inside Leone.
So I want to take you to the fact that the work you do as legal aid board, you know, one of the main, you know, vision or the mantra you have or you are known for is the fact that you get to handle some of this dispute with family members.
Oh, yes.
And
oh,
yes. Yes. So in terms of lessening the burden on the judiciary, do you think that there's more that needs to be done on your part and the judiciary as well?
We are doing
or
so much. At times we see about 100 to 200 cases every day. When I leave now, I'm going to Fobe College. From Fobe College, I'm going to legal aid board. By now, you'd have had at least 100 and something people waiting for us. These people come to us. They don't come with any money. We don't take money from them. We come and listen to their disputes. We try to settle it. Free of charge. They don't pay us. They don't pay anybody. If they had to go to a lawyer, probably the minimum they start before they get into this chain, 500,000 or something like that. I'm just saying. We do all these cases free. And you'll be amazed the complexity of some of the cases we do. Some people don't bother to go to court now with land cases. For example, a woman comes to us with me, a Muslim woman, so my husband wants to take another wife. I can't ask him whether I can take another wife. They come and ask us all these things. So if we don't know anything about Islamic law, we'll not be able to. We have to know everything there. We read. I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Christian. But I've read a lot of Sharia law now. I'll tell you, yes, you can take another, you can give, you must inform the present wife. She does not have to approve. But the condition, oh yeah, we're on the ball now. Some people should go to court. They will not go to court. You see, Mr. Gabi, also I get 1,000 almost for go pay. I don't count to you now. You'll be sorry for us.
There is this rush, you know, of a lot of young people from the university with their first degrees or even from senior secondary school wanting to become lawyer.
Yeah.
Is it that the profession is becoming so attractive and
this is the $64,000 question. We don't know what is the what happened, I think, some years ago, I won't call names, some boys, friends of mine, taught them, they came out of law school and President Anes Kumar recruited them. They were being paid by UNDP. They all had, what we call these, Range Rovers. They would drive up to Fobe College, they go there, their colleagues saw them. Open system, everybody thinks that's it. There are many lawyers who don't have cases. Many, they don't have cases. But now everybody wants to be a lawyer. We don't have doctors. We don't have, what you call these people for animals.
veterinary?
My doctor, veterinary surgeons, no more. Everybody wants to be a lawyer. How many architects? It's only now we've got an architect school at work. I don't say people should not go into law. But for God's sake, if you want to go into law now, know exactly what you want. We need to specialize. I say I'm teaching 300. You know what is 300 people? Right now when I live, I'm going to Fobe College. That's a lot of people, my friend. 300. At least let's have 1/3 of them doing law. The rest can do something else. But you go and tell them not, they will nearly kill you. I have a passion. That's what they tell me. I have a passion. I never had a passion to do law. I had a passion to do history. I only changed when I went to England. But now everybody wants to do, because before you decide to do law, the amount of money, because then you had to go and do it in England. We were not doing law, it was we who started it here. Then you had to leave Sierra Leone to go and do law in England or Ireland. Do you know how much it cost you? My mother had to sell the only car she had because she had to pay my fees in England. But now you go to Sierra Leone, you do law now. When we went to do law, we had to go all the way to that cold country. You tremble. But things are good now. Now you have Fobe College, Njala, McKinney. I think there's one, I think at King Tom.
King Tom, yeah.
Eh?
Yes, there is one at Kingston.
Kingston, yeah, about 4 law schools now, yeah.
Okay.
So the opportunity is great now.
We're still trying to have Elkas on the line. Let's see if we can take a news summary quickly. It's 9. Then we'll try to get Elkas and round up with you because we understand you have to go conduct or supervise exams at the university. I think we now have Elkas Sannoh on the Zoom call. Good morning, Elkas. Good morning, Elkas. We are not. Can you please unmute your? You're still mute. Can you please unmute your call, please, Elkas? Okay, seems we're still having some technical issues.
Where is he speaking from?
He's I think he's still in the US. It seems we're still having some technical issues with him.
Oh, he's in New York with the case, okay.
Yes, so we'll try to get back to him, you know, to address that issue. We still have Lawyer Gabidon with us in the studio here. I wanted to actually talk about the openness of the judiciary, especially with going to New York and broadcasting that live here on AYV and the national broadcaster, the SLBC, as well as what does this case mean for the electioneering process. Lawyer Gabidon, I'll quickly ask you, with your experience, if you had to recommend on this matter, you know, both sides have been talking about how they want the case to be done speedily because of the elections and based on one of the individuals who is involved in it. The other day I was in court and the prosecuting team, Mansibo, was saying, you know, the delay most times is caused by the defense lawyers. He was saying it's not actually them, and they were accusing each other. But with your experience and a matter like this, how do you think it can be expedited or, you know, done quickly so that everyone will have the opportunity?
This about 2-3 days and tell both parties to get all their witnesses there and let them walk up to late and try to complete the case. That's the only way out. Fix certain cases and say that I'm not going to hear this case beyond certain day. In Ghana and Nigeria now, when they take these cases, they have a cutoff date. All their cases now nearly have cutoff date. Oh yes, they tell you 2 weeks, 10 days. You see their election petition cases. So we cannot go on like this. It takes. Don't allow.
But doesn't that also affect, you know, justice? Should we prefer speed as to doing?
No, but China is a small country. Nigeria, you have 200 million people. They get all their witnesses in time. Why can't we get up? How many witnesses do you have in the case? Okay, probably you have 10 to. Yes, speed, but you can get the witnesses in time. Yes, sir. I don't think this is a problem in terms of you're not going to rush everybody within 24 hours. But let's say 2 weeks. You should have all your witnesses within 2 weeks, or at least a month. But if you're prolonging the cases, people are losing interest, then people start to give all sorts of interpretations which are wrong. That's the other thing. Why didn't they delay the case? They might not even know that you are not delaying any case. It's just that you don't have people coming to court because of reasons best known to them. But you should cut down delays in cases.
Okay. Let's see again if we've got Elkas. Hello, Elkas.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Elkas. Thank God we've got you on a clear line now. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, AYB. Good morning, Sierra Leoneans.
So we have Lawyer Gabidon in the studio here. We've been looking at you know, the openness of the judicial. Elkas, can you just stay where you are presently with your camera, please? If you keep moving, we'll lose sound and we'll lose you again. Okay. Lawyer Gabidon was saying, in his own opinion, he thinks you know, there should be an engineer with the team in New York who should have explained how the building is and how it was and all of that. But for the judiciary, how important is it going to New York and broadcasting that live to the public?
We have this unshakable conviction under the leadership provided by the current Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Desmond Babatunde Edwards, that transparency inspires confidence. Accountability will always build trust. Having those in mind, which is why we think using the media as the required platform independently transmit that to the public will also enhance the required trust and confidence, and it will also maintain integrity of the entire judicial process. Mind you, the accused persons who are before this court are still innocent. And mindful of that, we, the judge, think there is need to undertake this locus. The locus visit was timely. The locus visit was important because the Chancery building is at the nucleus of the entire trial. Hence, the need to visit New York to actually ascertain the information provided to the court.
Okay.
Now, there are allegations.
Hello, Elkas. Seems you're having a rather very poor connection with Elkas out there. Unfortunate, but Lawyer Gabidon, you've had for me. Yes, this is justified. It's something that they believe they should do.
Well, Elkas is a public relations officer for the judiciary. Very clever man, young, clever. If we're going to start this, then if we have other matters out of Sierra Leone, we have to continue with this. One, this is not an easy, it's an expensive exercise, by the way. I'm sure it costs a lot of money, and those who have to pay for the judges, for the lawyers. We have to look at the expense. Two, the necessity. If it's just going to New York to show the building, probably. I am saying that if you're going to New York, let people have the structure of what this is the whole thing about. This was the state of the building. This was why we gave money. This is what we have now. Yes, it is transparency, but he has not told us what has been gained by that visit. People have seen it. Some people are not going to New York one day. Well, even that building is a bad site for Sierra. Look at the status of that building. I'm not saying, I honestly don't know. I don't know what is the transparency there. That's my own view. If you want to see New York, yes. But if looking at that building, does it prove that somebody is guilty or not guilty? Does it prove that somebody has any reason to go to New York? That's my personal view. I don't think it was necessary. As I say, I have my views. My views are not necessarily correct. That's my view. Okay. There are many lawyers who hold my view as well.
This is
I have a lot of respect for
this is a matter of public relations now and doing the actual job.
Well, it's good probably for public relations.
Let's see if we could have Elkas again, if he's still on the line. Hello, Elkas.
If I was in that situation, I would like to go to New York.
Okay, unfortunately, we've lost Elkas again. Hello, Elkas.
Yes, can you hear me?
Elkas, you need to unmute your mic and stay where you are when talking to us. If you keep moving, then we'll...
I have done that. I have done that.
So you have a very good sound now. Just stay as you are and go ahead. And Elkas, one critical question is, who pays for this trip to New York? Who paid for the people who went to New York?
The government of Sierra Leone and also the accused persons. This should come out very clearly that the government did not pay for all the accused persons. What happened was the judge asked them to declare who among them is not competent to pay for himself and also foot the bill of his lawyer. In that regard, some of them paid. Some who declared themselves insolvent, the state paid for them, and the state only provided ticket fare from Sierra Leone to New York, excluding per diem or whatever and accommodation. This should also be noted by the public.
Okay.
Okay. Elkas, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Lawyers were present, other works of fields were there. Was an architect there, an engineer? Was he present? Somebody in that field?
No.
Why? Since we're talking about the dilapidated structure of a building, don't you think that was important?
Yes. There was an engineer before now who came to New York and do his assessment as an expert, but he came in as an expert witness, an engineer for Ministry of Works, Mr. Bokari. But what should come out clearly, or what the public should know, including my elder brother there, the learned Francis Gabidon, is this. During the process, there were a lot of allegations surrounding the Chancery building. For example, they claim that there were 2 additional floors. And another party was saying there were no additional floors. And that another party was saying they have utilized the money in question. They have properly utilized it. And another version that came to the court was that they have paid the engineer whilst the work was far from completion. And we are talking about $4.9 million United States dollars. Are we saying this is taxpayers' money? Are we saying because coming to New York, people are saying the allegation around, or what people are claiming, is that it's a waste of taxpayers' money. Compare the money spent on about 5 people, the money spent by government on 5 people, then compare it to the $4.9 million, which is at the nucleus of this trial. And Matthew, these are allegations. We should not rely on the very fact that Mr. A had presented to the court that the building has been completed or 90% completed, and Mr. B was saying the building was 60% completed. Let me state this so that Sierra Leoneans should understand. What actually informed the decision of the judge for this locus was because during the course of the proceedings, there were a lot of different information. I don't want to say misinformation, or I don't want to say allegations, fake allegations. I don't want to call that way. But Mr. A was saying this, Mr. B was saying this. Imagine somebody came and told the court that they have added constructed 2 additional buildings, 2 additional floors. Another person came again and told the court that, in fact, those 2 additional buildings were not there. It's just a fiction. It's just a fake information provided by Mr. A to the court. So the judge said, this Mr. A is saying this, Mr. B is saying this. There was every need for us to come on locus so that we can have first-hand information. We can be able to do an independent assessment. So that was the need for the locus. Not that people just want to come to New York, but okay. the traveling was very important. And when we came, we actually know what obtains in New York there that has to do with the Chancery building.
Okay. Elkas, we want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. Lawyer Francis Gabidon has been listening to you attentively. Perhaps he'll change his perception about, the importance of going to New York. Do you still hold on to your opinion?
He has given a justification in terms of the contradictory evidence. So probably. But I still think that the experts should play a more prominent role. Let us even hear what he's saying. If you want to be transparent, let them broadcast it to the people inside. Let's let them know the facts. We are sitting here. But it would be good for him to give that. I never knew that this was why they went to New York. I'm only hearing that now. I only heard when Justice Fisher made a court order that they should go to New York. I don't know that they had about 3 or 4 different interpretations. That means we have the parties, or was it engineers and experts who were arguing? Because that was another thing I would have asked him.
Okay.
He said one party said this, one party. Then
Elkas is still on the call. Elkas, Gabidon is asking. I'm sure you heard him.
Yes.
Yes, he's
let me
answering.
say this. I don't want to actually prejudice the outcome of the investigation, okay, or the findings there. But the reason why we decided to broadcast it live, in as much as that broadcast will not in any way prejudice the outcome, will not prejudice the mindset of the judge, because what the judge is looking for, or what the court is looking for, is the overwhelming evidence before the court. But what should interest Mr. Gabidon and Sierra Leoneans who are watching this is that the engineer who came spoke about, I think, 70 or 80%, 70% completion. That was what the information that the engineer furnished the court. But when we came, we noticed that the issue of additional flaws, AYV and SLBC broadcast it live, but there was no way we saw the 2 additional flaws. The 2 additional flaws, in as much as the first accused told the court that this additional flaws, the framework has actually been set up. There's the framework for the additional flaws, but we could not have access to the 2 additional flaws because we were unable to go there, and even to point the camera there because the place was blocked. But at the end of the day, he told the court that the additional flaws, they bought all the frames, all the materials for the additional flaws. So there were actually conflicting information.
Okay,
so then one thing also. Hello?
Finally, quickly, we're trying to round up with you.
Yes. Finally, on the issue of delay, Mr. Gabidon was saying delay. Now, let me state this. The matter commenced on the 14th December 2021. This matter, the state versus Saidunalo and 5 others. There was a court management meeting or sitting that was held. In that meeting, or during that sitting, the judge told them that I want to finish or complete this matter within 12 months. Unfortunately, the SEC presented 18 witnesses. Out of the 18 witnesses that were presented, some of them, I'm sure 3 of those witnesses, we are here. We are in the US. So they had to write to foreign ministry for foreign ministry to release their staff. So the delay was not on the part of the court. This should also be noted. Another thing that should be noted is that the prosecution closed their case on Monday, 12th December 2022. And at the end of the day, when they closed their case, the defense said they are doing no case submission, which was ruled. And even before the no case submission, on the 31st December 2022, they were asked, both sides were asked to submit relevant documents. Sadly, they did not comply. They did not comply. They did not comply because of reasons beyond their control, as what they told the court.
Okay.
Not until in February 2023, they were able to furnish the court with a relevant document in support of their case, especially the defense and the prosecution. So the delay is or was not actually the fault of the judge or the fault of the court. These are things people should understand. And Mr. Gabidon knows as well that when you talk about fair trial, the court should be able to give enormous opportunity to defense as well to present their case.
Okay, Elkas, we truly...
Section 23 of the 1991 Constitution.
Yes, we'll have to end it with you, dear, but thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully, when you return to Freetown, we'll have you in the studios to discuss further on these issues and the judiciary. But one good thing, you've got a commendation from Lawyer Gabidon this morning about the judiciary and its achievements.
Yes,
Lawyer Gabidon, finally, as we round up.
I agree with him that, in fact, this last delay had nothing to do with the court. The defense lawyers went and made a no-case submission. Again, with respect, that showed lack of experience. They should have known that there is no way Fisher would approve to that no-case. So they delayed their case. So I agree with him. The delay was caused by the defense because time was running against you. You knew that there was no way that judge would have approved of that. Now they have to put their defense now. Yeah. So they've wasted their own time.
Are you expecting this case to conclude before the elections?
I hope so. Well, otherwise it will be better before people start to argue and say all sorts of rubbish. I agree with Elkas. Let the defense put their case as quickly as possible. Okay. The case has gone nearly 90-something%. If you delay this until after the election, tongues are going to start wagging. What was the reason for it? Let them close it. Let everybody know the decision.
Thank you very much, Lawyer Gabidon, always for your time and experience in sharing with us and the public. Thanks, Elkas Sannoh, for joining us via Zoom from the United States of America.